Most traders think pyramiding means averaging down, buying more as the price falls. Jesse Livermore, who turned $10,000 into $100 million, did the exact opposite. He averaged UP. He bought more as prices rose, not fell. Today, you'll learn his mathematical formula for building positions that protect themselves. The same system that allowed him to pyramid wheat positions into a $3 million profit in 1925. Drop a comment right now. What's your biggest fear when adding to winning positions? Picture the wheat market, 1925. Livermore had identified a major move coming. The market was at a pivotal point. Most traders would buy their full position immediately, betting everything on being right. But Livermore understood something critical about human nature and market behavior. He knew that being right about direction was only half the battle. The other half was surviving the journey. And to survive, he needed a mathematical framework for building his position, one that wouldn't destroy him if he was early. Here's where most traders destroy themselves. They see a stock at $50. They believe it's going to 70. So they buy their entire intended position, say 1,000 shares, all at $50. It's like building a skyscraper and pouring the entire foundation in one day. You think you're being decisive, being bold? You tell yourself, I'm confident in my analysis. But what you've actually done is exposed your entire capital to being wrong at a single price point. The stock drops to 48, and suddenly you're down $2,000 on paper. The psychology shifts. You're no longer trading. You're hoping, praying the stock recovers. One bad entry has paralyzed you. Livermore approached it differently. He understood that the market must prove his analysis correct before he committed serious capital. He treated his first purchase as a probe, a reconnaissance mission. Think of it like a building inspector checking the ground before construction. He'd buy a small initial position, perhaps 200 shares at $50. If the stock advanced, proving the foundation was solid, then he'd add more. But here's the key. Each addition was at a higher price, not lower. He was building his position like a pyramid, wide base of early shares, narrowing as price rose. The market's own movement was financing his position. By the time he had his full 1,000 shares, his average cost might be $55. But his first 200 shares had a $5 cushion protecting them. He wasn't hoping. He was orchestrating. Step number 1, the initial probe. Start with only 20% of your intended total position. This is your foundation, the first floor of your structure. Before you commit serious capital, the market must prove your analysis correct. Your first purchase is not a position, it's a test. Think of it like an architect drilling core samples before building. You're testing the ground, checking if it can support weight. If you intend to eventually own 1,000 shares, start with only 200. If you're planning a $50,000 position, start with 10,000. This initial stake represents the maximum you're willing to lose if you're completely wrong. It's your tuition payment to the market for the lesson you're about to learn. Here's where most traders go wrong. They buy their full position immediately because they're confident. It seems smart because confidence is praised in our culture. You think to yourself, I've done my analysis. I know this stock is going higher. Why not buy everything now and maximize my profit? But this is backwards thinking. Livermore learned this the hard way in his early bucket shop days. He stated it directly. Profits always take care of themselves, but losses never do. The amateur buys 1,000 shares hoping to be right. The professional buys 200 shares, forcing the market to prove him right before adding more. Confidence without confirmation is just gambling with extra steps. The professional does something different. He buys his initial position at the pivotal point, the breakout level. Let's say a stock breaks out at $50. He buys 200 shares. Then he waits. He's not adding more yet. He's watching. The stock needs to advance 6 points to $56 before he even considers adding. This waiting period serves multiple purposes. It proves the breakout wasn't false. It demonstrates genuine buying pressure exists. It allows weak holders to exit, strengthening the base. Think of it this way. A builder doesn't add the second floor until the first floor's foundation is cured and proven stable. The path to extraordinary results is through validation, not assumption. He wasn't interested in being fully invested immediately. He was focused on being correctly invested strategically. Let me show you this in action. In his wheat trade of 1925, Livermore was watching the market at a critical level. He'd identified the pivotal point where accumulation was complete. When wheat crossed that level, he placed his first order, 5 million bushels. Not 50 million, 5 million. This was roughly 20% of his intended position. For 3 days, he watched. The market struggled initially, dipping slightly. An amateur would have panicked, seeing the dip as confirmation he was wrong. But Livermore understood normal reactions. On the fourth day, wheat advanced sharply, 1 3/4 cents higher. This wasn't noise. This was confirmation. The difficulty of the advance proved demand was genuine. That single pro position, 5 million bushels, showed him a green light. Only then did he begin adding to his position. The result? His disciplined entry allowed him to build a massive position with minimal risk. This single decision, starting with 20% instead of 100%, made the difference between a successful campaign and catastrophic loss. But having the right foundation means nothing if you don't know when to add the second floor, because even if you enter correctly with your pro position, you can still destroy yourself if you add too early or too aggressively. Step number 2, the first edition at profit protection. Add 30% more when the stock advances 6 points from your entry. Your first position now has a cushion. You're not adding because you're greedy. You're adding because the market has paid you to add. Think of it like construction financing. A builder doesn't use his own money for the second floor. He uses the increased property value from completing the first floor to secure more funding. Your initial 200 shares, bought at $50, are now at $56. That's $1,200 in profit. Now you add 300 shares at $56. If the stock reverses, your earlier shares protect your later shares. You're building with the market's money, not yours. Here's where most traders commit financial suicide. They add to losing positions instead of winning ones. The stock drops from 50 to 45 and they think, it's cheaper now. I'll lower my average cost. This is called averaging down, and it's how traders blow up accounts. It seems logical because you're reducing your break-even point. You think to yourself, if I buy more at 45, I only need it to get back to 47 instead of 50. But this thinking is deadly. Livermore saw this destroy countless traders. The market is telling you that you were wrong. Adding to a losing position is like a builder seeing foundation cracks and deciding to add 10 more floors anyway. The amateur adds on weakness, hoping for recovery. The professional knows hope is not a strategy. The professional does something that feels counterintuitive. He adds when the price is higher, not lower. After his initial 200 shares at $50 show a $6 profit, he adds 300 shares at $56. His average cost is now rising from $50 to $53.6. But here's the key. He's using market-confirmed momentum. The 6-point advance proved he was right. Each share purchased at 56 has 200 shares below it, showing profit. Think of it this way. A builder adds the second floor only after the first floor is complete and weight tested. The path to extraordinary gains is through adding to strength, not averaging down weakness. He wasn't interested in lowering his cost basis artificially. He was focused on maximizing position size and proven moves. In Livermore's documented Bethlehem steel trade, we see this principle in action. The stock broke through $100, his pivotal point. He bought his initial position. The stock rallied to 105 in mere minutes. This explosive move was confirmation. During the next consolidation phase, when the stock held 99 to 101, he added significantly more shares. The price was higher than his initial entry, yes, but those initial shares were protecting the new ones. When Bethlehem Steel ultimately reached $155 just 5 days later, his pyramided position captured the entire move. Here's what matters. By waiting for 6-point confirmation before adding, he eliminated the risk of catching a false breakout. The stocks that advance 6 points and hold are the ones that continue. The stocks that break out and immediately fail never reach the 6-point threshold. This single rule filtered 95% of failed breakouts automatically. But getting the first 2 additions right means nothing without understanding the progression. Because the third addition, the double protected position, is where the mathematics truly compound in your favor. Step number 3, the second addition at double protection. Add 30% more when the stock advances another 6 points. Now 50% of your position has 12-point cushion. You've now built 2 floors successfully. Your foundation is held. The market has advanced from $50 to $56 to $62. Your first 200 shares have $12 of profit. Your second 300 shares have $6 of profit. Now you add another 300 shares at $62. Think of it like a reinforced building. Each floor supports the next. Your average cost is now $56.8. But the critical insight, even if the stock reverses to $57, you're still profitable on 60% of your position. You've engineered safety through progression. Here's the fatal mistake amateur traders make at this stage. They get scared of their own success. The stock has advanced from 50 to 62, 24%. They think, it's gone up too much. I should wait for a pullback to add more. This seems prudent, conservative. You think to yourself, I don't want to buy at the top. Let it come back down and I'll add then. But this thinking reveals a fundamental misunderstanding. Livermore addressed this directly when he said, never be afraid of the normal movement. The amateur waits for pullbacks that never come, or adds on pullbacks that turn into reversals. The professional knows that strength begets strength. In the market, expensive things tend to get more expensive. The professional embraces the discomfort of buying at higher prices. After the stock advances from $56 to $62, another 6-point move, he adds his third increment of 300 shares. Yes, his average cost keeps rising, but so does his profit protection. He's built a structure that can withstand storms. Think of it this way. An architect doesn't stop construction because the building is getting tall. Height is the point. The path to massive gains is through scaling into strength systematically. He wasn't interested in perfect entries at local bottoms. He was focused on maximum exposure to confirmed trends with mathematical protection. Livermore's documented Anaconda copper trade shows this principle brilliantly. When the stock crossed $100, he initiated his pro position. As it powered through 110, 120, and beyond, he continued adding, always at higher prices. By the time Anaconda reached $200, he had a pyramided position with entries scattered from 100 to 180. His average cost might have been 140, but his earliest positions had 80 to 100 points of profit protecting the entire structure. When the stock ultimately reached $300, the mathematics were extraordinary. His pro positions had 200% gains. His middle positions had 50 to 100% gains. Even his latest editions were profitable. The total profit wasn't just from one perfect entry. It was from systematically building exposure as the trend confirmed itself repeatedly. This is how he turned thousands into millions on single campaigns. But even with 3 successful editions, the pyramid isn't complete. The final piece, the apex, is where Livermore's mathematical genius truly shines. Because the last edition isn't about adding more shares. It's about capping the structure. Step number 4, the final edition at triple protection. Add the final 20% when the stock advances yet another 6 points. Your entire position now has layered profit protection. You've reached $68. Your building has 4 floors now. The foundation, your first 200 shares at $50, has $18 of profit per share. That's $3,600 protecting everything above. Your second edition at 56 has $12 of profit. Your third edition at 62 has $6 of profit. Now you add your final 200 shares at $68. Your pyramid is complete. Total position, 1,000 shares. Average cost, $58.4. Current profit on entire position, $9,600. Think of this as placing the roof on your building, and the structure is now complete and weather resistant. Here's the catastrophic error amateurs make at this stage. They keep adding beyond their plan. The stock continues rising to $75, $80, $90. They think, why stop now? It's still going up. This seems like capitalizing on success. You think to yourself, I've been right this whole time. Why wouldn't I keep adding? But this is how pyramids collapse into disasters. Livermore learned this through painful experience. One major mistake of all speculators is the urge to enrich themselves in too short a time. The amateur, intoxicated by success, transforms a calculated pyramid into reckless over-leverage. When the inevitable reaction comes, they've added so much near the top that the profit cushion evaporates. The tail is now wagging the dog. The professional exercises supreme discipline at this exact moment. After adding the fourth and final increment, he stops adding. Period. No exceptions. The pyramid is structurally complete. Adding beyond this point creates instability, too much weight at the apex. He now shifts from building mode to protection mode. Each subsequent 6-point advance triggers stop-loss increases, not position increases. Think of it this way. Once the skyscraper is complete, you don't keep adding floors. You maintain and protect what you've built. The path to keeping extraordinary profits is through knowing when enough is enough. He wasn't interested in maximum theoretical profit. He was focused on maximum capturable profit with acceptable risk. The documented disaster that taught Livermore this lesson came from his cotton trade. He'd pyramided successfully from 12 cents to 18 cents per pound. His position was massive and profitable, but instead of stopping, he kept adding at 19, 20, and 21 cents. When cotton suddenly reversed to 17 cents, what should have been a massive win turned into a marginal gain. The late editions, purchased with no profit cushion, dragged down the entire position's average exit point. Contrast this with his disciplined wheat campaign. After reaching his planned position size across multiple ads, he stopped. When wheat continued higher, he didn't add just one more time. He let his existing position capture the move. When the eventual reaction came, his profit cushion was intact because he hadn't over-pyramided near the top. The result? He locked in $3 million in profit because discipline trumped greed. But building the perfect pyramid means nothing if you don't understand the one rule that makes the entire system work. Because this next principle is what separates mathematical genius from mathematical suicide. Step number 5, the iron law of pyramiding. Never, under any circumstances, add to a position showing a loss. This rule has no exceptions. This is the load-bearing wall of the entire structure. Everything collapses without it. If your initial probe position at $50 drops to $48, you do not add more shares to lower your average. You exit. The market has spoken. Your analysis was wrong. Think of it like a building inspector finding foundation cracks. You don't ignore the cracks and build higher. You stop construction immediately. The probe position's entire purpose was to test the market's willingness to move in your direction. If it failed the test, you got invaluable information cheaply. Honor that information. Cut the loss. Move on. Here's the disaster that destroys more trading accounts than any other mistake. Averaging down. The stock drops from $50 to $45. The amateur thinks, this is great. Now I can buy more shares at a better price. It seems intelligent because you're reducing your break-even point. You think to yourself, my analysis is still valid. The market is just giving me a gift, cheaper shares. But this is how accounts die. Livermore watched this destroy trader after trader. Every major blowup follows the same script. Initial loss, denial, averaging down, bigger loss, more averaging down, catastrophic loss. The amateur treats losses as opportunities to fix positions. The professional treats losses as information that analysis was wrong. The professional does something psychologically difficult, but mathematically essential. When his probe position shows a loss, he exits immediately, usually at his predetermined stop loss. No analysis of why it failed. No hoping it recovers. No averaging down, just exit. This ruthless discipline is what allowed Livermore to survive for decades while others blew up repeatedly. Think of it this way. A successful builder who discovers faulty ground doesn't proceed with construction. He abandons that site and finds solid ground elsewhere. The path to long-term survival is through accepting small losses quickly. He wasn't interested in being right about his initial analysis. He was focused on letting the market determine rightness, then acting accordingly. Livermore's most painful lesson on this principle came early in his career. He'd taken a position in a stock that immediately moved against him. Instead of cutting the loss, he averaged down, buying more at lower prices. The stock continued falling. He averaged down again. By the time he finally capitulated, what should have been a small, manageable loss had become a devastating crater in his capital. He wrote about this experience with brutal honesty. The speculator has to insure himself against considerable losses by taking the first small loss. This wasn't theory, it was scar tissue. In his later successful campaigns, we see the discipline ingrained. His wheat trade in 1925 had a planned stop loss. If wheat had reversed after his first 5 million bushel purchase, he would have exited the entire position. No second guessing, no averaging down. Just cut and move to the next opportunity. This singular rule, never add to losers, is what separated his later success from his earlier disasters. Let's bring this complete mathematical system together. Livermore's pyramiding genius wasn't in any single addition, it was in the architectural precision of the progression. The pyramiding progression formula is a complete risk-managed methodology. It begins with a 20% probe position, ensuring you risk only what you can afford to lose completely. It moves to the first 30% addition at 6 points higher, ensuring early profits, finance later additions. It continues with the second 30% addition at another 6 points higher, ensuring 50% of your position has deep protection. It completes with the final 20% addition at yet another 6 points higher, ensuring the entire structure has layered cushions. And finally, it demands the iron law, never add to losers, ensuring that failed probes don't become fatal disasters. This is not guesswork. It's architectural mathematics applied to speculation. Here's what this really means. The 90% who fail buy their entire position at one price, hoping they're right. They're driven by confidence without confirmation. They see a stock at $50 and buy 1,000 shares, praying for 70. The 10% who succeed probe with 200 shares at 50. Wait for 56, add 300 more. Wait for 62, add 300 more. Wait for 68, add the final 200. They have cultivated patience, backed by mathematical protection. They see the same stock at $50 and systematically build exposure as the market proves their analysis correct. This system transforms speculation from reckless gambling into engineered probability. It is a methodology that captures massive moves while protecting against catastrophic losses. Now, let me be clear. This is not easy. Livermore himself said, "It takes a man a long time to learn all the lessons of all his mistakes. The system will not make you rich overnight. What it will do is allow you to build substantial positions in genuine moves without destroying yourself when you're wrong. But only if you have the discipline to never add to losing positions. Most won't. They'll average down once, telling themselves it's different. It never is. Will you have the discipline to cut losses and pyramid-only strength? So here's my challenge to you. Take your next trade and apply this formula. Start with 20% of your intended position. Force yourself to wait for 6 points of confirmation before adding. Don't just watch this video and do nothing. Livermore spent millions in losses learning these lessons. You just got them in 14 minutes. The question is, will you apply them, or will you keep buying full positions and hoping? If you're serious about understanding Livermore's complete methodology, you need to read Reminiscences of a Stock Operator by Edwin Lefebvre. This isn't just theory, it's the biography that documented how he actually traded, including the pyramiding campaigns that made him $100 million. And for those who want to see how Livermore identified the pivotal points for these pyramids, watch this video next on his 5-star setup. If this changed how you think about position sizing, hit that like button. Subscribe for more deep dives into legendary trading strategies. And drop a comment. Have you ever averaged down on a losing position? How did that turn out? I read every comment. Remember, this video is for educational purposes only. This is not investment advice. Livermore's pyramiding strategy requires study, practice, and most importantly, discipline. Always do your own research and never risk more than you can afford to lose. Pyramiding amplifies both gains and losses. Use this knowledge responsibly.